We've talked a lot about this notion that the police are engaging in systemic racism against black people, that it is a, quote, big lie, close quote, pushed by a lot of Democrats, but those who push it don't seem to have their Facebook accounts shut down by Mr. Zuckerberg. How successful has this narrative been in convincing people that the cops are out mowing down black people for no reason whatsoever? Now, we've talked about the article in the Washington Post I've urged you all to read because it's in the Washington Post, as opposed to Fox News or Breitbart or some other conservative outlet. It's the very left-wing Washington Post that has never in its history ever endorsed a Democrat for president. That's how left-wing it is. April 27, 2016. Long article. Urge you to read it and then reread it and then reread it and then look at the sources that they cite and then go check those sources out. And you will find that for decades, police have said, we are reluctant to pull the trigger to use deadly force on a black suspect versus a white suspect. There have been tests that have been conducted over a period of years by researchers at Washington State. There's that study done by the Harvard professor named Roland Fryer, who found that the police are more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than a white suspect. There's a lot of work done by Heather McDonald. She wrote a book called The War on Cops. I urge you to read. And then there's a July 2016 front page article in the New York Times about the study by the black Harvard economist named Roland Fryer. And there are many other studies as well. I urge you also to look at the research done by John Lott at the Crime Prevention Research. I think it's called crimepreventionresearch.org. So, holding in my baby brown libertarian fingers, an article. And it's about a survey done by skeptic.com. And they asked people who identify as liberal or very liberal, how many unarmed black men were killed by the police in 2019? According to Washington Post, they put that number at 12 shot and killed. Others put the number as higher if you include those killed by other means. But let's say 25. One called Mapping Police Violence, which clearly, in my opinion, is overstated, puts the number at 27, so 25. What do people who are very liberal believe? Among those who self-describe as very liberal, more than 50% believe that law enforcement killed 1,000 or more unarmed black men in 2019. %. 8% of that same group, very liberal, believe officers killed more than 10,000 unarmed black men in 2019. Now, the 50% that believe that law enforcement killed 1,000 or more, they're just off by a factor of what, 40? Off by a factor of 40. Actual number 25. 8% of very liberal people, self-described, believe that officers killed more than 10,000 unarmed black men in 2019. %, of just garden variety liberal, 39% believe the police killed 1,000 or more. 39%. Again, number off by 40, and that's 1,000 or more. We're looking at the low number, 1,000. Off by 40, a factor of 40. This is the extent to which the media has convinced much of this country that this country is bedeviled by systemic racism. And it's not just, of course, with the police. It's with this ridiculous 1619 project that purports to say that the founding of America really started when the first slave came here, as if the reason for the country was to preserve slavery. Are you smoking something? Liberal people, nearly 40%, believe the police kill 1,000 or more unarmed black men in 2019. Actual number 25, off by a factor of 40. 5% of liberal, just regular liberal, believe the number was more than 10,000. Now, how many of these people do you think show up on cable TV, pundits on MSNBC, Hee Haw, and CNN, who are completely, totally clueless about what the real number is? And this is the extent to which you are being misled. You are being manipulated. They put a hook right in your nose. They've gotten you angry for no reason, and it's getting people killed. As I mentioned, cops pull back. It's called the Ferguson effect. Bad guys know it. And good guys are wary of cops and therefore are far less to comply, all because of this narrative, which is a lie. How many black people do you think believe more than 10,000 or more unarmed black men get killed every year? Can we break it down by race? I bet you blacks are even more deluded that they didn't break it down by race. Why did they never break it down by race when you want them to? I'm Larry Elder.